I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our nerdiest thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we will be sharing our spring and summer hopefuls. What's on our
I just
TBR?
like when you say that, I'm like, da-na-na. Like there should be background music
for the future.
I need a fucking 5-star read.
Oh man,
I'm in a motherfucking reading slump. Give me something to be hopeful
I feel
for.
like that too. Make sure you listen all the way to the end of this episode. We will have an interview with author L.M. Sanguinette, who will be at Imaginarium Book Festival this summer. Before we get into anything else, Deb, will you please share our nerdy news?
For nerdy news this week, seriously, for this month, I don't know how I'm supposed to like sleep, eat, or clean because all these awesome new books keep coming out. And it's like, sometimes we have months where I'm like, okay, a couple of great things came out, and like every month or every week this month is just like bang, bang, bang,
All the
bang,
hits.
bang, 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 bangity bang. That's a How I Met Your Mother reference. Okay, if you read the Shatter Me series in the last 5 years, you should be pumped about the new book by Tahereh Mafi. It's titled Watch Me. This book is actually set 10 years in the future from the original series and features book boyfriend Aaron Warner's little brother. And neither of you have read those, right? Mm-hmm. It's a really good series. So I'm excited that she's doing a little spinoff and telling us what happens in the future, because it's all about rebellion and revolution and all that stuff. Speaking of books in a series, Lyla Sage's new Rebel Blue Ranch book comes out today. It sounds like salad dressing.
With real buttermilk.
Sorry, Lyla Sage. Try new Rebel Blue Ranch. So this book comes out today, and it's a small town second chance romance. And normally I would never pick up a cowboy romance, but much like the sports romance books we read, the ranch is a setting. It's not a theme of the book. Right. It has really nothing to do with them being cowboys, with the exception of that they like ride horses. That's
right.
Right. And wear tight-ass jeans.
Furs.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are up on this series, this book features Camille, who was a big part of the last book. So it's the continuation of her story. So I'm pretty pumped about that one. If you follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/our nerdiest thing, you know that we have Imaginarium Book Festival coming up. And one of my only regrets from our first year partnering with them is that I didn't spend more time with the brilliant Chelsea Abdullah. I think that's how you pronounce it. Her new book, The Ashfire King, follows a merchant and a prince trapped in a crumbling realm of jinn, not Gin, Jinn, which are essentially mischievous genies. Mm-hmm. And they have to figure out how to save the world to be able to return to their own world. So they have to save the world they're in with the genies, which is, when it's jinn, it's essentially a hallucination.
Yeah.
It's not actually happening.
Right.
You have to save that
like
one.
A dream world.
Yeah. So that one sounds really, really fun.
That does sound cool.
If you read and loved The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose, she has a new book set in the same world, but just 11 years later. It's coming out this week. It's titled The Perfect Divorce. So she has the perfect marriage. Now she's got the perfect divorce. And this book follows Sarah, who in the first book defended her husband against the murder of his mistress. She's remarried and cheated on again. And her soon-to-be ex also has a mistress who just happened to also just go missing.
Uh-oh.
So I'm beginning to wonder if Sarah's the problem.
Right?
Not that she's getting cheated on, that people are dying around her. It's no one's fault to get cheated on. But everyone just keeps dying. My last recommendation of the week is Bridesmaid by Chance by Meghan Quinn, which is set in her Bridesmaid for Hire series. And Mindy, I know that you loved Bridesmaid Undercover.
I really liked that one.
So I really hope this one's as laugh out loud as her previous books. This novel is a workplace marriage of convenience with best friend's little sister vibes.
Ooh.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that one. It'll be a good little palate cleanser after all these fantasy books I'm about to read.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Deb. And that brings us to the Nerdy and Dirty. Mindy, will you get us started with what you're reading? Because Deb and I have coordinated, and we're we're going to take the floor after you.
I do have a book that I'm reading because I actually listened to the book you read. So that's what I'm listening to, but we'll talk about it at the same time.
Okay, so I am reading, this is a book club book that we all eventually will read.
Allegedly.
It's called Nocticadia. by Carrie Lake. It's really good. It's a dark academia with a broody young professor with a past and a heroine trying to figure out what killed her mother. It's got parasitic worms and color-changing moss and weird plants. It's just really, really cool.
Herbology.
It's got herbs. It's very, very interesting and very cool.
Yeah, I haven't started that one yet for our book club. Sounds good.
Before we get into the other thing that you want to talk about, Whitney, I do want to say for book club last month, I was a little late, but I read Keep Me by Sarah Kate. And I've said before that I don't really like when men are mean to women because they quote unquote like them. But this book did end up being a 5-star read for me.
It was really
And the
good.
reason why is the male main character goes to motherfucking therapy. He works on himself and then he comes back for the girl, and that is sexy as hell.
That was a nice little plot twist.
Yeah. If it had just ended with them getting together, it probably would have been a 3.5 star for me. It was a good book, but then when all that happened, like they end up like going their separate ways.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and
like
then,
I
I did too,
and it takes me a lot for me
I
to
did
cry.
too. Yeah,
I did too.
I did too.
And then so I cried when they split up, and then I cried when he came back together. And he's like, "I went to therapy," and I was like, "Yes, you're so hot."
Yeah, I did like that detail too.
So Whitney, let's talk about what you read and what I listened to.
Yeah. Okay. So I read. Here we go.
I'm kind of pissed about this.
So I read The Charlie Method by Elle Kennedy. This is book 3 in her Campus Diaries series. It's a follow-up to both The Graham Effect and The Dixon Rule, which The Dixon Rule I just talked about a couple weeks ago as being like one of my favorite reads so far this year. I love, love, love The Graham Effect and The Dixon Rule. But I did not enjoy this book as much. I will say I did not hate this book. I enjoyed the story. I really like the characters of Beckett and Will. I read through this book quickly, partly because I was like, is this actually what this book is? Like, wait, there's going to be more, right? And okay. So I had a hard time, I think, figuring out what I didn't like about it, other than like, I don't typically love an MFM. So I kind of didn't expect to like,
that was the whole
love
reason
this.
I read it.
Well,
Right.
yeah. So, okay.
Can I give my synopsis real quick?
Of
I just
the
want
book?
to give my 2-sentence synopsis and
Oh, sure.
so people know what we're going to talk about. This is what I wrote. A girl who isn't like other girls joins a throuple with hot hockey guys, but the dudes don't kiss and every spy scene feels the same. And to prove she isn't like other girls, she drives sports cars at night and makes a pros and cons list.
Yeah. Yeah. So the title of the book is The Charlie Method. And so her method of like dealing with stuff in life literally is to type out a pros and cons list on her computer. Like she goes really in depth with it and is like super detailed
it's
with
like,
it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best? What's like what's going to be the thing that like stops this in my tracks where I wouldn't want to do this,
like,
or yeah.
But it's a pros and cons list.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately I think I decided I did not enjoy this because Will and Beckett are 2 characters that we have seen through all 3 of these books in the Campus Diary. So we've had the first 2 books to get to know these characters and really like fall in love with these characters. They're very
in those
funny.
books a lot. Yeah.
They're very charming. They're very, very heavily featured in the first 2 books. Charlie is brand new in book 3. We have never seen this character before.
Even though in this book, she is in scenes with previous characters, in scenes we saw in the previous 2 books.
Well, and the timeline of the Charlie Method overlaps quite a bit with the timeline in the Dixon Rule. However, Charlie is not in the Dixon Rule at all. But like you're talking about, she goes and has a meal with Diana Dixon, who is the main character of the Dixon Rule. Right. But we never see this Charlie girl before this book 3. Which I just think that is ultimately that is the problem for me with this book, is because you have given me 2 books to fall in love with Beckett and Will, and I'm very invested in them. I'm very invested in their friendship and their relationship. The fact that they want a throuple like makes perfect sense to me. Like I get it. Yeah. I want them to be together and happy, but I do not care about Charlie.
Right.
She is brand new. I don't care.
I told Whitney it was like when Lost was on and they were trying to get ratings boosted at the end, and they introduced new actors and then they just put them in previous scenes, like they superimposed
like
them in.
flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, they weren't in that scene, but I guess they are now, right?
Yeah,
I agree with you. That's why I didn't like it. I didn't feel a connection with Charlie. I felt a huge connection with Will and Beckett, so much so that I'm like, they didn't fucking kiss. And I'm sorry, I really like it when men kiss. I just do, but like especially guys that are like no holds barred, you know, and these guys are very passionate.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something missing. But one of my least favorite tropes of all time is that I'm not like other girls. I hate that shit.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Will and Beckett not ever like getting together, which whatever, as an author, if that's the choice you want to make, then that's great.
Of course, maybe they're not gay.
Sure.
Right?
And that's fine. But it was weird to me that they had so many conversations in the book, throughout the book, with multiple different characters asking them, so you guys don't hook up? You guys never hook up? Do you guys ever kiss? Do you want to kiss? Do you hold hands? Do you touch each other's dicks? Like, there was a weird amount of conversation about that happening for nothing to come from it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
In the Dixon role, too, there's a whole thing where Will is staying with Diana a lot, and you're supposed to kind of think it's because he has a crush on Beckett.
Yeah, that was weird. So a big plot point in the Dixon rule is that Will is taking a step back from Beckett and the threesomes that they have because he's not super comfortable with how much he likes it, right?
Right. And he wants Beckett to be there.
Well,
so like there is an affection there, right?
But then you start this book. That's how we end Will in book 2, is him like having this struggle of, I really love this with Beckett, but I don't think I'm supposed to. And he's like struggling with it. But then you start this third book and he and Beckett have like a Tinder profile together looking for like a third girl. And you're like, wait a second.
So what happened to his existential
exactly.
crisis?
Like, and he kind of mentions it a couple of times where he's like, well, you know, I just had to deal with it.
How'd you deal with it?
Yeah, like, all right, I guess we're just done with that. Like, it was just weird. And the plot point for Charlie, this is part of her, like, I'm not like other girls. She has like a BFF whose family owns a racetrack that's all like Ferraris and Porsches and like super expensive race cars. And when she gets like really overwhelmed, she drives. She drives in like the middle of the night and meets this friend at his family's thing
but we
to drive
about this
these
too.
cars. I'm like, what?
And the friend is gay, but I feel like we talked about this, me and Whitney offline. We feel like the only reason he's gay is so that he couldn't possibly be a love interest.
Like, conveniently not a romantic interest because he's gay. But it was just like a weird, like, if that felt very shoehorned in.
Yeah.
It just, I have said to Deb, like, over text and tonight too, before we started recording, you could put literally any of the female characters or any brand new female character in Charlie's place and I would feel the same way about this. Like, I don't care about her. And I think it was to the detriment of the story that Elle Kennedy made the female interest a completely brand new character.
Because it could have been a 5-star read with a character that we've seen before, for sure. And for the record, the writing's solid. It's a good plot. Like, you know, a lot of, like, we were talking on another episode about how Elle Kennedy, like, is really good at writing the hard stuff. And she still does that.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
You know, you said you read it really fast, and it, through audiobook, took me over a week to listen to. And I listened to all of her other books in a day and a half. I mean, if that tells you anything. I was just like, I kept flipping to another audiobook and, you know, so.
It was just really odd to me for her to introduce a brand new character because, I mean, even in book 1, like, we've never met Gigi Graham, but we have an immediate connection to her because she's the kid of these other characters.
Right. Charlie's not even one of the kids from the previous
She's not
series.
Involved at all in the story. And like the Dixon rule, you have seen Shane and Diana in book 1. Like, these are not brand new characters in any of the other books. And I just don't understand why she did that.
So
and it's upsetting to me. And I could talk for 4 more hours about this,
we
but
could do
I
a
won't.
whole episode on this. It is funny because the Trope Trollop messaged me and she goes, "Have you finished this yet?" And I was like, "No." And she goes, "I'm really upset." And I said, "About what?" And she goes, "There's no DP."
There wasn't. Yeah. Well, and there were a couple of scenes where, like, there were a couple of times that the 3 different characters were talking about, like, their sexual fantasies. But then, like, one of Charlie's fantasies she fulfills with only one of the guys and not both of them. And I felt weird about that. And I'm like, I don't know. I told Deb earlier tonight, like, I feel like it was not an MFM. It was MF and MF. You know what I mean? Like, it was two, it's like 2 separate relationships.
I wouldn't even really call it reverse harem either.
No.
No.
It's kind of why choose.
Kind of.
But
It sounds
just
more a little bit like
weird.
love triangle.
It's
I mean,
a throuple. But the guys aren't interested in each other.
I can't remember but when we were reading the the hockey one, the hockey I choose. Oh my gosh, what's
Pucking
it called?
Around?
Pucking around. Thank you. I'm like, that one. You did a deep dive on different types of polyamorous relationships, and I remember that there's one where it's like one person is the central of the relationship,
Right.
but like everybody else is only connected to them and not connected to each other.
Yeah.
Like that's what this relationship was.
But I think most of those relationships are because those other people don't know each other.
well, that might be
Yeah,
that might
right.
be true too.
Yeah.
But
We
anyway,
feel very passionately
I
about
was
this.
disappointed. I didn't hate it, but I was disappointed
Yeah.
by it. So,
makes sense.
there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
I will continue to read her books and love her books, but this one was not.
yeah. I will still read every single thing I will
me
reread
too.
some of the ones that I've loved and read before. But anyway, sorry.
Anywho.
No offense to Elle Kennedy, because I know she's listening right now. She's a big fan.
And if you are, Elle, we do love you.
We do. Yeah. 100%. Not every book is for every
And
person.
we're not going to
that's
tag you in our review or
Oh,
anything because we're
no.
not assholes.
No, 1000% no. So let's talk about what we're watching.
Okay, I've got to talk about this. Anyone with a boy under the age of 13 probably knows who Mr. Beast is. Like, you know who Mr. Beast is, right, Whitney?
Yes.
Okay. For those who don't, this dude has 372 million followers on YouTube.
It's crazy.
He does silly games and like massive giveaways. That's his shtick, right? He's a huge dork, which is actually kind of endearing. It's nice to see like that you don't have to be like macho guy to like have a successful business, right? But it also turns out that he has a show on Prime called The Beast Games. And before you roll your eyes, this show is outrageously addictive. It starts with over 2,000 contestants all vying to try to win $5 million. The games that he has them play are typically physically very easy, but have mental challenges that the contestants have to face. So some have to choose between $1 million or sending the entire rest of their team home. So they miss out on their chance, right? He puts teams of 3 in one room and they can't leave until one person in the room decides they are going to exit the show.
God.
It's so intelligent and really something the entire family can watch. But we were watching it in real time and we were like looking forward to the episodes. It's so good, you guys. And like he's such a nerd that it's very endearing. I imagine it's what people when they listen to us are like, oh my God, they're such nerds.
It's like almost
we love
cute.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would highly recommend this show. Okay. Yeah, and Mr. Beast, yeah, I mean, it's annoying when your kid is watching the videos over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I saw Whitney roll her eyes when I brought him up. But the show's really good.
Yeah, you're like, don't roll your
And you,
eyes.
like,
I'm like, too late.
You really do connect with the contestants, especially as it gets down to like 20 people.
Right.
And it was awesome.
So what I'm hearing is if you have a gaming kid that likes Mr. Beast and you want to connect with them on some level, maybe watch this
Maybe
show.
watch the show with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something for
100%.
everyone.
And here's the thing. Every age group in our house loved it.
Yeah.
It's really good. Cool. Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for the rec.
He doesn't need it. But
Yeah, he's got plenty of followers.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Mindy, what are you watching?
Well, a couple weeks ago, I talked about the trivia question where I was the only one that knew about Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, yeah.
So it got me wanting to watch that again. And
Yeah.
there's only one season, so you can get through it fairly quickly. So I did. I started watching some Freaks and Geeks episodes. I was just feeling nostalgic. And we kind of brought up a little bit of all the actors that have come from that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was the beginnings of so many of these actors. Like you've got James Franco
Yeah.
and Jason Segel and Seth Rogen, probably the top
Yeah.
3, right? That everybody knows. But then you've also got Linda Cardellini. John Daly was in like one of those police procedural shows for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Busy Phillips. She went on to do like
I love
Dawson's
Busy
Creek
Phillips.
and like a bunch of other stuff. I love her too.
She had her own like late night show too
Yeah,
for a while
yeah.
on E.
I didn't know that.
I remember she did a whole thing with Michael's crafting too. I think it was.
Oh, really?
I really think it was during the pandemic.
During
I could be-
COVID, yeah, I think it was.
And then Martin Starr, who I don't think a lot of people know, but I just love him. I think he's hilarious. So I don't know. It's just one of those shows, especially being a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
Just I resonate with.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
It's fun to go back and watch stuff
But
like
I mean,
that.
like, it definitely ends on a cliffhanger. So, like, because they thought they were going to be picked up
Renewed.
again. Yeah, and they did
I
not
hate
get
that.
renewed.
Well, what I'm watching is also my nerdiest thing of the week. because I'm watching Married at First Sight Australia exclusively on TikTok.
Is this the one where she's walking down the aisle and he has all the tattoos?
And she's like,
and
oh
she
my
goes,
gosh, yes, yes,
oh
yes.
my God. And she just starts screaming, yes, he has tattoos. And I was like, I am feeling you right now.
That is 1000% Married. That's the most current season of Married at First Sight Australia. And that's my favorite couple on the show is
they're really
Jamie
cute
and Dave.
when she's walking down the aisle.
Oh my gosh, I love them so much for so many reasons. So I'm watching it on TikTok, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You sign up, and they have experts that work for this show that pair you with somebody that you don't know based on like all these questionnaires or whatever that you fill out, and you literally see that person for the first time like at a wedding ceremony. I'm pretty sure it's not like a legally binding wedding ceremony.
Can they choose to say no?
No, but I don't think they can say no right then. But one of the first controversies of this season is that one of the guys pulled a producer aside after the wedding ceremony and was like, basically like, she's not pretty enough for me. Like, I don't.
Single, are ya?
So basically what they do is, they live together. They go on trips for the show. They have dinner parties with all these other couples.
Hold on. Did he still have to live with this woman and stuff, though?
They did for a little bit, but they left the show pretty early because every week you have a dinner party one night and then you have a session with the experts. So the experts are watching all this footage and they watch you at the dinner party, and then everybody has to go sit on the couch and basically have like a one-on-one therapy session with the three experts. And then each couple gets to say, I want to stay or I want to leave. And so like this guy and his girl, not girlfriend, I guess, but his lady, they left the show like first thing because he was a dick.
Whoever she is, you are amazing, honey.
She was amazing. And anyway, you should watch the show. So my favorite couple is Jamie and Dave. Jamie is the girl. She is a ride or die for like every single girl on the show. So like there have been several instances where the guys are, douchey guys, and she will be like, what the fuck are you doing? And like, she'll just call them out so hardcore.
I want to be friends with her.
The guy that was like, she's not pretty enough for me. He was being like really gaslighty and was like, well, she's not trying hard enough. And that's why we're having problems in our relationship. And this Jamie girl was like, no, you're gaslighting her right now. Look at how she's reacting to you and look at the way that you're talking to her. Like, she really stood up to him, and I really loved it a lot.
I have a feeling that no one would have been good enough for that guy.
100%. Yeah. Unless it was like a supermodel. Right. You know what I mean? But anyway, I am really enjoying watching it. I know there's an American version. It's not the same. But I watch it exclusively on TikTok. I think you can watch it on Lifetime maybe, but I just watch it on TikTok.
They probably get tons of ratings on TikTok.
They probably do.
Well, I mean, that scene, though, where she sees him is going around Bookstagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, when I read about my book boyfriend for the first time.
Well, and what's really sweet about him, first of all, he's just like a really sweet guy, and he's really, really good to her, especially compared to other douchebags who are like, she's not pretty enough for me. Well, he apparently was really nervous before their ceremony because he was like, I don't feel like I'm super attractive, and I'm really afraid I'm going to like disappoint.
Cute.
Well, he was like, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint whoever gets paired up with me. So then like she didn't even get all the way down the aisle and was like hooping and hollering. She was so excited about how he looked, and it really like, you can see him like, look at her, like she likes me. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
Need to go check that out.
It's really fun. So Deb, you already shared what you're listening to. So we don't have to rehash that.
Are you sure you don't want to talk about that again?
I would love to talk about it again, but I feel like we would lose listeners. So Mindy, why don't you tell us what you've been listening to?
Well, I am listening to the audiobook for If You Love Me by Helena Hunting, which I've already read and loved. So, I always love all her stuff. But I love the way these narrators bring her books to life. The narrators are two of my favorites. It's Stella Bloom and Stephen Dexter. And if you haven't heard Stephen Dexter narrate something, you should go take a listen. He has this really, really deep, sexy voice, and his different voices are really good. And he doesn't make the girls sound dumb and Southern.
Yay!
So, like, top notch.
I feel like Stephen Dexter, you're like either going to be a stripper or an audiobook narrator.
I mean, and I don't know. I used to go look up narrators, but then I don't want to be disappointed. So I just like
Yeah.
In my head, he's like a mountain man with a beard.
Okay,
Yeah.
so did you listen to, because we were talking about the Charlie method, did you listen to the Dixon Rule?
No, I read.
Okay, so I listened to that, and I didn't realize that Corvin King, who we met at a book festival last year and was so sweet to us.
Yeah.
Remember, he did a panel with
Yes.
us.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy.
He's
in it.
Shane?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
and
know
it
that.
is great.
Oh, I might have
So
to
great.
download that audiobook.
Yeah, which, like, I feel bad. I did not like the way that he was treated at that event
neither.
because, like, on stage, someone kept saying, and he looks great with his shirt off. He was there as a professional narrator. It was just
Yeah.
really awkward and
Yeah.
cringy. And so now when I think about his voice being hot, I'm like, okay, he did that on purpose, but also I don't want to objectify Corbin.
Yeah, like, we've met him. Yeah.
He's so nice.
He is, and he's like the sweetest. Like,
Yeah,
he
he
really
really
is
is.
kind of like a little baby
But-
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did things for me.
Via the audio
Via
waves.
the audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happily married. Everybody knows that.
I'm still listening to the Wilmot Sisters audiobooks in preparation for listening to book 3. So I've listened to these books before. I'm on the second one, Better Hate Than Never. These are by Chloe Leese. And this second book focuses on the youngest Wilmot sister, Kate. It has enemies to lovers, It Was Always You vibes, forced proximity, He Falls First, and of course, really, really good spice. And all of these Wilmot sister books are based on Shakespeare plays, and this one is Taming of the Shrew, which is one of my
cool.
absolute
They were
favorites.
based on Shakespeare plays.
Yeah.
I actually have those. I bought them because she's going to be at Wild and Windy Chicago, so I get to meet
Oh
her.
yeah,
I'm really excited.
Definitely, they're really, really good. Yeah. So this one is Taming of the Shrew is one of my favorites. So far so good. I
I'm
love
just
those.
thinking
books.
of 10 Things I Hate About You.
I know. Yeah, it's
Love,
really
love,
good.
love.
That brings us to our nerdiest topic. Today we are sharing what our spring and summer hopefuls are. Books we want to read during the next few months, but we all know we may not actually do it.
Speak for yourself.
So many books, so little time. Who wants to go first?
Mindy, why don't you go?
Sure, I'll go first. I have a few.
Me too.
I'm
me
going to
too.
start with Iron Flame and Onyx Storm because I'm so way behind. I will get caught up, I promise, eventually. I feel like I'm like the last one to read these books.
Oh, you do you, boo.
So that's
I was going to say you are, but that's okay.
I know, right? So that's definitely on my list. I don't know why I keep putting it off. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, they're big. It's a lot, a book to read. You know what I mean?
But I've read big books since then too. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I think people were disappointed with it, so I don't. And I don't want to go in with
Whitney
that.
wasn't disappointed.
I really like both of them.
Okay.
I did
Yeah.
like both of them. I just thought they needed to be shorter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I'll let you know when and if I finish them.
It'll be like Manacled. You'd be like, I fucking hate this book.
Thanks a lot, you guys.
Like, I thought it was good.
I also a couple episodes ago we talked about Abby Jimenez, who I love, and she's got a new book coming out, which I'm so glad I know about now. And but I have like 3 of her books on my TBR that I haven't read yet, and I read Just for the Summer and loved it. So I also have Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and the Happy Ever After playlist. They're all on my bookshelves. They're all physical books. One of these days I'll get to them. I really don't know what's stopping me. I mean, I love her stuff, and I know they'll be pretty quick reads, right? Like I know I'll get into it. So we'll see. And then next is a book of the month book that I just got. I'm really excited about. It's called Count My Lies by Sophie Strava.
I read that.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know how else to like tout it. So this is a little quote from Goodreads. A read in one night suspense thriller narrated by a compulsive liar whose little white lies allow her to enter into the life and comfort of a wealthy married couple who are harboring much darker secrets themselves.
Ooh.
It reminds me a little bit of Ruth Ware's Turn of the Key.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
So,
Yeah.
and I loved that book. So I'm excited about that.
Noise.
Next, we have Pucking Strong by Emily Rath.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
releasing in July, so I won't get to that till summer, but it's an romance this time, and it's Teddy and Henrik's story.
Mm-hmm.
Teddy's a physical therapist that we see in Pucking. He's like an
intern, assistant?
Yeah, he's an intern
Yeah.
there. Well, he leaves and then comes back as a full-fledged, like,
Man.
staff member. Staff member is what I was going to say.
He's a real boy.
And then Henrik is a player, and there is, from what I can gather, a marriage of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really,
And maybe
really
the boys will kiss.
I'm really, really excited. They 100%.
It's just an MM, so
It's Emily Rath. The boys are definitely kissing.
boys are fucking.
there's no F to get in the way in this one.
And if you have not joined Emily's Patreon, she has all different levels, but the level I'm in, she does little sneak peeks, and it's going to be hot. So, and then the final one I have one more, but I think you're going to talk about it, Deb. But one of the other ones is The Last Session by Julia Bartz. I actually won this as a Goodreads giveaway.
I've never won one of those.
Okay,
I just stopped applying.
I'll tell you.
Because I like to win.
Let
Yeah.
me finish telling you about this book, and I'll tell you, because I've won 2 now already, and I just started this like 3 weeks ago. So it just sounds really good. It's described as a locked room thriller about a social worker who, after coming face to face with her dark past, must infiltrate a mysterious wellness center in the deserts of New Mexico.
Oh, my.
Say less. It sounds really, really good. But so here's my method. Every Saturday, I go and you go to Discover and you go to giveaways, and they've got them all listed there, and you sort them by ending soonest or whatever. Like they're getting ready to end.
Yeah.
And I do a week's worth. So I go through like all of them, and I just start clicking on the ones that look interesting to me. I usually do about 10 or 12. Sometimes I don't. You know, I get the womp womp emails though. You the sorry you didn't win this.
I know. I got sad because I was getting them all the time.
It's too big of a bummer.
But so this is the second one I won. I got another one called Welcome to Murder Week. So yeah, I mean,
I also have an arc of that.
That's hilarious. Well, it is an
I
art
saw
copy.
it. I saw it on your Goodreads and was actually going to ask you if you wanted to read the copy.
that's
so that's
hilarious.
really funny.
Yeah, so that's my technique, and so every Saturday I do a week's worth of the ones that are getting ready to end.
Well, look at you go.
I know.
Well, I know what I'm doing after this
I
episode.
know, right? Deb, you want to share your spring, summer hopefuls?
So, Mindy, I think this is the one that you also want to read. As you all know, one of our favorite reads last year, Mindy and I, was Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. Luckily, we both have received advanced copies of their new book, Hazelthorn, which comes out on October 28th. So even though this book comes out in the fall, we're reading it in the summer. And we've actually had it for a couple of months, but I'm putting it off because I read Don't Let the Forest In last year and then couldn't talk to anybody about it for 8 months.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm pushing it back just a little bit. What I loved about last year's book was the body horror and the unrequited love, which is exactly what this sounds like.
Yeah.
It's gothic estate horror and it's queer romance, and it's just going to be
it's going to
really
be amazing.
Great. Yeah. The garden, I think, is eating people, which is really fun.
So cool.
I love it when
That's cool.
And this
plants eat
writer
people.
has just beautiful prose. It's just
I told
it's like reading
someone
a work of art.
Yeah.
If someone told me they write very poetically, I'd be like, I'm not reading that shit.
Yeah.
But it's not pretentious.
No,
it's just
no.
beautiful writing. So that does come out in October, but we're going to read it in the summer, and you will see
That
our
is
reviews
definitely
online.
That
Yep.
was my other one.
Yeah. On August 12th, friend of the podcast, Bridget Kimmerer, has her first adult fantasy novel coming out. It's named Warrior Princess Assassin.
Ooh.
Yeah. I love Bridget's work and can't wait to see what she does in an adult space because she's
Yeah.
only written YA, right? So this is a quote from Goodreads, this steamy novel about 3 characters torn between chasing, betraying, and craving each other. A princess caught between duty and desire, the fearsome warrior king she's promised to, and the assassin now tasked with hunting them both down.
Oh,
I know.
nice.
So I can't wait for
I
that
love
one.
her.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
do too.
great.
She's so fantastic. Last week I told you I was listening to These Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens, and she has a new book dropping on July 29th named Silver Cloak. This new fantasy series is set in a world where magic is fueled by pleasure and pain, where an obsessive detective infiltrates a brutal gang of dark mages knowing that one wrong move will get her killed.
Ooh.
So that one sounds really fun.
Yeah.
Our Infinite Fates, or These Infinite Fates,
like
is great.
Monsters Inc. But
Those songs at the beginning, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
but way cooler, right? Like that adult Monsters Inc.
Pretty sure Laura Stevens would not appreciate that.
I liked Monsters Inc. I liked if you think about it, at the base of it, it's like there's this product, right?
Pleasure and pain.
Yeah.
And
That's
you can get
true.
it either way. And
Yeah, that is true.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
I meant it as a compliment.
So another friend of the pod and one of our all-around faves, Elise Kova, is releasing the first book in her new series, Arcana Academy, on July 22nd. And it's about a woman who wields magical tarot cards and lands herself in a false engagement with the headmaster of a mysterious academy. So dark academia written by Elise Kova?
Yes, please.
Nice.
100 times yes. 1,000,000 times yes. I have two more. So the second half of the Lore of the Wilds duology is being released on July 8th. Lore of the Wilds was the first book, but Lore of the Tides, the second book, follows the same main character from book one, who's now being held prisoner on a ship in the middle of the ocean. She obviously has no way to escape, and the crew is like distrustful of her magical abilities. So I don't want to give spoilers, so that's all I'm going to say about the synopsis, because if I say anything else, it tells you what the twist is in the first book. But the first book is really good. You guys should read it. I loved it a lot. And it is on Book of the Month if you want to buy it.
Yeah, I didn't
Lore of
know
the
that.
Wilds. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I would be remiss if I didn't shout from the rooftops about The Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the final book about Poppy and Cass. And I'm so sad to see this part of the series end. It's going to put me in a reading slump. I'm probably going to cry. There is going to be another book about Millie and
Malik.
One of them.
One of those.
Malik or Malik.
The one with the eye.
Yeah. The brother, Kestel's brother.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited. That book comes out in June. I think it's June 10th
June
or something. And I can't wait. I just can't fucking wait. I've waited for 2 years for a Cass and Poppy book, and they're like one of my favorite couples of all time. So
Yeah.
I'll
That's
be
on
reading
my
that before anything else.
That's on my list too. It's actually the only new release that's on my list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I only had one.
Yeah, everything else that's on my list is stuff that's been on my list, you know?
Yeah.
So I do.
I think I didn't understand the assignment. I think I thought they had to be new releases.
Oh, well,
But those are things I do want to read in the summer for real.
There's lots of we've been learning over the last few weeks that a lot of really great books are coming out
I know,
in
right?
spring and summer. So
You're like, Deborah, my TBR is too long.
I know it really is. I have a ton of books that I want to read. And like I said, most of them on my TBR, not even just for this episode, but in general, they're not new releases. They're just books I haven't read yet. So I do want to really read. I do really want to read. I said it. I want to really read. Like I lie about reading other stuff. I'm really going to read this one. I want to read Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love.
So good.
It's a fanfic from AO3.
He's a simp, and I love it.
I have it. I've got it downloaded.
You would like this one, asshole.
I also want to read The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley, which I think is also Hermione fanfic, but it's just like traditionally published and not, on Archive of Our Own.
Okay.
But that's what it seems. I don't know that's the art on the cover looks like Draco and Hermione. So I don't know. I've also got Primal of Blood and Bone on my list too. The final Cass and Poppy focused book in the Blood and Ash world. And then last on my list, I may not get to read in spring or summer. It just depends on what happens. Book 3 in Morgan Gaucher's Friend of the Podcast series. Her book 3 is called A Tale of Trial and Torment. It was supposed to come out in March, but she's trying to get traditionally published and recently signed with a literary agent. Ooh. So they pushed the publish date back. Yeah. So
I hope she has it for Imaginarium.
I know. I don't know if she will or not. So hopefully it'll come out sometime this summer to be able to read during the summer. But, whenever it comes out, I'll read it. So this is from her Shadow and Starlight fantasy series. It starts with book 1, A Song of Shadow and Starlight. Shay gets kidnapped the night before her wedding by her kingdom's sworn enemy, but she finds out her kingdom and her fiance are not everything that she believes them to be, and maybe sparks fly between her and one of her kidnappers, and maybe it's really hot. Yeah, I don't know. So whenever that book comes out, I'll read it.
She has great character art in her books too.
The character art is really, really great. So whenever that comes out, I'll read it.
She's going to be on the podcast again soon.
Next week. Yeah, she'll be on the podcast next week. And that brings us to our nerdiest things of the week, which I already shared mine. It's watching the Married at First Sight. And I will admit, I have also been searching and listening to podcast episodes, like Australian podcasts that talk about like episode breakdowns.
Now give me the breakdown of what she said again.
Yeah,
hilarious.
I've been listening to it, so
You know,
I'm
we
very
can-
You're
invested.
brushing up on your
We
Australian
can-
accent.
My accent, yeah.
We can make fun of that, but we do that for books every week.
This is true.
So that's my nerdiest thing. What about you guys?
What's yours, Mindy?
I've started scrapbooking again, which kind of have done it a little bit, but I sort of put it away for cross stitch because it's just easier to carry around. And I don't do a lot of crafting at my house, but since I've been at home so much, I pulled out some things, and just to inspire me, I actually purchased a couple of like online classes from one of my favorite scrapbook creators. Her name's Paige Evans.
Oh, cool.
She's just got a really cool eclectic style that kind of matches mine. And I've just been digging into some older photos and really enjoying the process. The one I'm working on now, Deb, you'll appreciate. It's from Disney, and it's the Everlasting Love. Like, it almost looks like the Corpse Bride a little bit. There were some statues. It was at Epcot. But,
When we drank around the world.
when we drank
Yeah,
around the
yeah,
world.
yeah.
We might have been a little bit tipsy when we did that. But
The final pictures of that day never made it online.
but it's really cool. Like, it's this big haunted house cut out. I don't know. I'm really, really enjoying this process and
That's
getting,
fun.
because you know, that's been my creative outlet for years and years and years. I want to say I started in 1998 scrapbooking. So, I'm really, really enjoying that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
awesome.
cool. I love that. Deb, what's your nerdiest thing?
So, speaking of scrapbooking, or if you like custom fabric or use patterns for anything, I also took a class, Mindy. You would never know how hard it is to make repeating patterns. And there's something called seamless patterns, which means the pattern can be repeated on all four sides without an interruption. So if you put two squares next to each other, they're going to line up on all sides. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I find this work super interesting because surface design is huge. People are always looking for pattern makers. And so I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So I paid a hefty penny for a surface design course in Procreate. I joined a Facebook group, and it's been such a fun learning method. I just released a collaboration with some other designers called Cherry Picked, where everybody did cherries and like a different fruit, and it was really, really
cool.
fun. But I have like a bunch of new hand-drawn patterns in my shop. It's been fun working
That's
with
awesome.
these
That's
people.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that. That's
I-
even an option.
Yeah.
Feel enriched to have learned something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's one good thing about technology and social media is finding stuff like that you
Yes.
can
And
do.
Procreate, much like Mindy has started taking her cross stitch everywhere, I can take my iPad anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that it's a medium that travels with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that is it for this week. Make sure you continue listening for our interview with author L.M. Sanguinette, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we have very special guest, author L.M. Sanguinette. L.M. Sanguinette was born on a small island in the Caribbean where the palm trees watched over her like giants and the sea crept up to her feet to say hello. Ever since she was little, she surrounded herself with tales of fantasy and magic, hoping that one day she too would be involved in a story like the ones that captured her imagination. Years and many rewatchings of Avatar: The Last Airbender later, she is happily living in the worlds that her mind created, filling her bookshelves with more books than she will ever read, and practicing her own version of magic. When she's not sitting at the computer, she can be found snorkeling near forgotten shores, twisting from silks that hang from ceilings, or in one of the many hidden coffee shops of Madrid, conversing with the spirits of the old city and dreaming up new adventures. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute treat.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about your name because Mindy, our word nerd, pointed out that Sanguinette means little blood. So I feel like there might be a story behind behind this pen name.
There is. So, as family history aside, because that does play a role, and it's not as entrancing, I guess, as the story it could be. The name came about, it came to me more so. I was given the name, and then I looked up the fact that it was Little Blood. And I've always been called to the more macabre and the somber kind of side of life. And so I figured that if I was going to start talking and telling stories about death, the afterlife, souls, how we're all connected and so on, then I got lucky. I mean, I couldn't find a better name. So I figured, let's just take it. Family history.
I love that.
You got it.
I love that. So before we get into your fantasy works, you are also a poet and you have three books of poetry that you have published: The Days I Dream of Coffee, The Days I Dream of Chocolate, and The Days I Dream of Chardonnay. So which would you say came first, if one came first at all? More of the fantasy story writer or the poet?
So, it's funny because I think I've always been drawn to stories themselves, and both will have their own way of telling a story, whether it's long and winded and takes up 400, 500 pages, or short, sweet, and to the point in like 5 lines.
Yeah.
Poetry found me in sort of a darker time in my life when I didn't have the confidence to maybe tell the stories, the long-winded stories that I wanted to tell.
Yeah.
And it served as an outlet at first. But if you end up reading the books, you'll realize that it didn't really stray too far from poetic origins. My work is not necessarily as easily digestible as maybe some of the fun, fast fiction that we're seeing nowadays. And no shame, because I absolutely love it. But once you get through it, you'll realize each word is carefully chosen, and that comes from the poetic origins.
Yeah, every writer is different. Every voice is different. So, how did you bridge from writing poetry to maybe, because you said when you didn't have the confidence to write the longer stories, how did you build that confidence or go that step further from poetry to fantasy?
So I think showing people the quality of the poetry originally helped,
Mm.
because no one really has the time for you when you say, "Oh, can you just quickly read this 500-page book for me and see?" Right? So,
Yeah.
so this was an easier thing to get feedback on and tweak, and then see where or how it made people feel. And that feedback in real time was spectacular. And then the joke is, after the you know what hit in 2020, I was still in university at the time, and for the entire time I was saying, I'm a writer, or I'm going to be an author, and I hadn't really done anything to prove that, not only to anyone else, but to myself.
Yeah.
The original book had been sitting half written for over 7 years. But granted, it wasn't the time for that yet. So I said, you know what? If I can't sit down and write a concisive book right now in this time where I'm trapped in my house for a month, I will knowingly hang up my dreams on the shelf and just leave them
Yeah.
there to die.
If
And
not now, never, right? Yeah.
exactly. So the work that came out of there allowed me to then test out the publishing world with the poetry books. And the first one, The Days I Dream of Coffee, was definitely a first attempt, but in some kind of hilarious twist of fate is probably one of my best sellers. So I don't know if I was called to do it, or if someone out there is looking out for me, but
You
that's
never
kind
know what will resonate with the readers.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
And because of the time that it was published too, it talks a lot about sort of the darker aspects of like life, sorry, like dealing with grief and loss, because I did lose a few people at that time as well. And I guess that seemed to be the zeitgeist of the moment. So
Yeah.
that's but just allowing that to be out there and realizing, you know what, it's not that bad. And people will either love it or hate it, but that will not change the way that I feel about having gotten it out there, made
Yeah.
me, yeah, and you know what? We'll just throw out the book and see what happens to it as well. And
Yeah,
here we
I
are.
love that.
I didn't ever expect to be on a podcast or a talk show or going to book fairs. Like,
It's exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting. That is one good thing I think about the the horror of 2020 and COVID is a lot of the authors that we've talked to over the past couple of years really started during that time when they were at home and said say the same thing that you just said, right? Like, I've got this opportunity, I might as well use this time. If I can't do it now, I'm just never going to do it. And I love that because we've gotten to read some really great books and you guys have found readers that love your stories because they're out there now. And I love that so much. Do you have any current plans for more poetry right now, or are you fully focused on your fantasy stories?
oh, I do actually. I am in the middle of editing the next collection called Saved by Verse. And I don't know if we have enough time for it, but if you wanted to, your readers can get a sneak peek of one of the poems from in there that absolutely has its fingers in my heart and will not let go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Oh my gosh. I'm nervous.
You can
So,
also send it to me. We can just put it in the show notes if you don't want to read it. That's up to you.
no, it's fine. I love it. But it's okay. So it's called The Graveyard of I Love You Nots.
Mm.
Uh, This young heart wore sleeves, not knowing it was a target, a slain boar's head in a hillbilly's apartment, till shots were fired, and it grew tired of the "it's fine, I'm fine" third time's the charm rhetoric that kept it trapped and walking on glass, and hanging on by the threadbare sleeves as it shrank into complacency, when all it wished was to be seen, to be heard, to be loved. And then it gave up, the holdout of holding outs that never once panned out, but pinned it back and tore it down and watched as its world came crumbling and said nothing. Isn't that something? Buried under petals in the graveyard of I love you nots and forget me's it hasn't yet forgot, clinging still to the idea of love it was promised rather than the faces of failed and fleeting forevers, destined to become the nevers of torn up love letters and embers in dying fires, where heat itself was laid to rest. It was a test, they said, as a heart like this deserves only the best, the truest of true loves and happy endings, rather than constant inconsistency and feebly sewn mendings.
I love that. I relate to that so much. That took me back to like 19, 20 years old. That's
Right?
great. I love that. Do you have a time frame for this new poetry book, or is it still too much in the works to know?
No, so it's just about done. And if all goes well, fingers crossed, it'll be published in about June. So
Oh,
just in time
great.
for the Imaginarium. Yeah.
Yeah. Will you be able to have copies of that with you at Imaginarium, or maybe not?
Maybe a little too early,
Yeah,
but I'll
if we're
definitely
lucky.
publicize the yes.
Yeah, if we're lucky. So let's talk a little bit about your fantasy works. So you are the author of the Visanthian fantasy series. Am I saying that correctly? Visanthian? All right,
Yes.
perfect. So that is Welcome to Visanth, Visanth in Ruin, and Visanth Rising. So what can readers look forward to when they pick up that book one, that series?
Oof. So book one, I will admit, and you know how they say you have to love all your children. I love it. I do really love this one, but you can tell it's a book one, and I have since become more confident and better at writing and so on and so forth. However, it's still a great story. Like, let's be real. So think of the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they have elemental magic and so on. So that's kind of the setting of this one, but it takes it a few levels deeper. It's more of the story of, how do I put this? It's a finding yourself story in a world that you know you've never fit in, and
Yeah,
like there was a little bit of your soul calling out for something different. And so because of that, I mean, personal stories aside, it goes into this feeling of, where am I looking for the things that I'm feel that I need in my life,
yeah,
and how destiny and fate come into play with this, because I'm a little bit of a spiritualist one, and when I'm ready. And what happens when the world itself brands you, in her case, evil, and you don't feel that way, but you know that your powers in this case will not
yeah.
allow you to be anything but. So, aside from that, I mean, because any good story includes a love story, right? Love is
Sure.
found. You've got love that transcends lifetimes, soul bonds, a little bit of gore, and friendships that jump worlds for you. And I don't know if that's already convincing enough, but
I think it is. Is this more YA or new adults or?
um, I I would want to categorize it a little bit more on the new adult sphere of things.
Hmm.
Technically, there's nothing terrible in it that would bar it from YA necessarily. There may be a few swear words here and there, but I
Yeah,
try to any romance is more on the closed door side, and nothing is too gory to say like, oh no, children can't be reading this. But
sure.
there are things, the themes are
Heavier
maybe more
themes.
mature. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get you. So we'll see you at Imaginarium Book Festival. Is there anybody that will be at the Imaginarium this year that you are excited to either meet in person for the first time? Maybe you're already internet friends with them, or anybody that you're really like fangirling about being able to see?
Do you know what? I didn't really get a chance to look through the entire author list, so
Yeah, there's a
not
lot of authors. It's a big list to try to look through.
it'll be exciting. And I get there, I can fangirl as much as I want in the comfort of my home, but then when I get there, I'm timid and I don't know how to speak to anybody. So that's a whole other battle that I'll have to face. But I did meet Natalia Hernandez last year at a Polycon,
Oh
and we
yeah.
sat down and had a great conversation. So I think I'd probably be looking out for her this time around.
Oh yeah, that's super fun. So we've talked about works in progress. You've got your poetry book in progress. Are you planning more books for the Visanthian fantasy series, or is that a trilogy done?
So that trilogy is entirely done. You get to book three and you can be content with that. I'm tempted to do sort of a Frost and Starlight adaptation of where my characters are after that.
Yeah.
But there is another book that will hopefully, fingers crossed, be out in October called Of Arrows and Roses. And
Ooh.
yeah, so same Visanthian world, different characters, different time period, but just teaser wise, think Pride and Prejudice meets Romeo and Juliet, set in Avatar with the song from Pocahontas, If I Never Knew You, playing in the background.
Nice. I
That's
love that. I love that, like the soundtrack plug.
right.
I don't think I've heard an author like give a song like that, but that tells you exactly what kind of vibes. I love that so much. Well, that brings us to our nerdy and dirty speed round, where these are just some random questions for our listeners to get to know you a little bit as a person, not just an author. So just no wrong answers, whatever comes to your mind. So here we go. If you were going to wake up tomorrow in your world of Vasanth that you've created, which character would you seek out first?
The Apprentice. I mean, he is one of my morally gray lover boys. I don't know. I mean, there's another one there, Sebas, I'd probably go to afterwards, but between the two of them,
The
they're
morally gray
adorable.
always
We love
wins.
it. We love it.
So, thinking about your poetry books, which do you dream of most often? Coffee, chocolate, or Chardonnay?
Ooh, if it's just for consumption, I'm a chocolate girly. But
Mm,
if it's thematically, I think coffee has better themes.
awesome. I love that. What is your favorite part of living near the ocean? Which, by the way, I love your bio. It's very heavy on the Moana vibes, like
Yeah, I mean, I
friends
am
with the ocean. Yeah. I love that. My daughter loves Moana, so we're always singing the songs. So it's always on my mind.
as it should be.
Yeah.
So, aside from the fact that I need it to survive, I lived in Madrid. I no longer live in Madrid. I live in another city in Spain, but I've lived
Mhm.
there for enough time to say that I need the slow pace of living and genuinely need to every Sunday dip my toes in the water. I don't care if it's like 5 degrees outside. I will be in a sweater and jeans and barefoot along the shore because there's some kind of, I don't know, grounding that it
I
does
was
that
just about to say that. Yeah, it sounds like the grounding thing of, I'm not going to go out in the grass. I'm going to go in the water.
corrects.
Yeah, I love that. I would love to be able to do that every week, every day. What is a personality quirk that you have that might surprise your readers?
Um, I have been told that I am the most extroverted introvert that people will ever meet. And I like to jokingly or not so jokingly say that I don't really like people because I feel like I don't know how to relate to them half the time, or when I do, then it's just everything, everywhere, all at once. Until my social battery runs out, and then I'm like, please do not talk at me. Don't even look in my direction until this battery is resolved.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, the introvert part is the needing that quiet space to recharge yourself. Yeah, but there are lots of outgoing introverts. I don't think I'm one of them, but I've got too much of an RBF, I think, to,
I've been
to,
told the same.
yeah.
So
Well,
I
you, Deb, and I will get along great at Imaginarium because all three of us then have the RBF.
sit in the corner drinking like a coffee or a matcha or something and just kind of watch the world go by.
Yeah, exactly. What is your favorite thing to do on your day off?
Good question. I feel like I have too many hobbies. I must have made a deal with the devil at some point, sold my soul in exchange for like more than 24 hours in a day. So I actually love aerial silks. That's my kind of like recharge because you're fighting for your life up there anyway. So it's like you're not thinking about anything else. But when I can't, I don't know. I just love walking the beach or finding a coffee shop and having something maybe a little sweet or I really
Yeah,
don't
no,
know.
that sounds like a great day off. Get your workout in, work on that core strength with the silks, and then go have a croissant or something at the coffee shop. I love
Exactly.
that.
And
If
all of that in an effort to not say writing because that would have been top of the list, but that feels too day jobby. So
right, that's not really a day off. So
no,
if you could travel anywhere in the world that you have not been yet, where would you choose?
Japan. I don't
Oh
know,
yeah.
just Japan.
Do you have any plans to travel or is it like a bucket list thing?
It's one of those plans that consistently gets pushed out, and now more so because everybody's getting married or having babies or it's somebody's birthday. And so I just see it there on the horizon, but it never
Yeah.
actually. So we're
Yeah.
working on
Have to
it.
prioritize other things at this moment. I totally get that. What is your number one comfort read?
It's kind of shameful, but The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have reread it, I think, more times than is humanly allowed, to the point where this is my second copy and it looks like it's been in a 50-year-old second. Yeah.
It's just
But
been loved.
oh, very much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love when books are like worn like that because that means they got loved. I love that. Well, that brings us to the end of the speed round. So great job. Thank you so much. I know sometimes that's kind of nerve-wracking. Where can readers best connect with you? Is not social media, I take it, from what you said earlier.
I mean, you know what? Instagram is probably the best way to connect, but don't expect the quickest response. Quick responses are email, and it's shameful to say that in this day and age. TikTok, I've tried, but I don't love.
Yeah,
Um,
TikTok's hard, I think, to get momentum.
well, you'd be surprised too. It's worse for people that are living outside of the States, especially when your readership is in the States, just because the algorithm pushes it to people in
It's
the
different.
States.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I didn't think about that. That's true. We need the algorithm to get a little smarter with who we want your audience to be. Where can we purchase your books?
So everything should be on Amazon. It should be on Barnes and Noble. Ebook wise, I think the poetry ones are wide. For right now, the Visanthian series is on KU, but I'm tempted to make it go wide depending on how the rest of the year goes. And I know Amazon is being boycotted and so on and so forth, which is fine. Honestly, like down with the billionaires, I get it, but also it's kind of affecting my livelihood a little bit. So
Yeah, there's a big push for readers to not stop using Kindle. There's a big push on social media that I've seen kind of explaining like this is how Kindle helps your indie authors that you love. So maybe let's not boycott Kindle, but it's complicated and we recognize that. So, do you have any other events or book conventions or signings that you're doing besides Imaginarium?
I will be at A Million Lives Book Festival in Baltimore, first weekend of May, I think.
Oh, great. Are you making it a big long stay in the States or are you going back and forth?
I wish. I don't know why I decided to, but I'll be doing that weekend coming back and then the weekend of Imaginary and coming
Yeah.
back. So
Well, you'll have enough time to, get over the jet lag before it's time to come back over.
there won't be any jet lag. I'm going to be looking like a zombie the whole time I'm there. But it's fine. I did this.
Yeah. Well, last but not least, this is our nerdiest thing. We always end our episodes talking about our nerdiest thing of the week, which is usually book related, but doesn't have to be. Just anything that you really got excited about, or maybe something you were researching for one of your works in progress that you did super deep dive on. We would love to know what your nerdiest thing of the week is.
Oh, you got me on a good week too. This is a really nerdy thing. For the past maybe year and a half, I've been trying to finish Love in the Time of Cholera because it's one of my favorite stories from one of my favorite films, actually. I don't know if you've seen the film Serendipity.
Serendipity? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is my favorite word, by the way. So geeking out about that as well. And because I saw it and resonated so much with the story, I said, okay, I have to read this. And it's taken me so long, but this Sunday in a rainy cafe in Midlands of Spain, I finally finished it and I started to bawl right there in front of everybody. And I didn't feel bad about it at all.
Oh, I love that. That's a perfect nerdiest thing of the week. That's so great. Thank you so much for being on and chatting with us. And we're excited to see you face to face, for real face to face, at Imaginarium in just a couple of months at this point.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Whitney. It was an absolute pleasure.
Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.